Aho to ye travellers, cometh young, cometh old. 'Tis adventure we seek for the meek and the bold. A knight and a wizard who drink smashes sour have a magic crusade for you this questing hour.
Well, hello, travelers.
Hi, welcome back to the Questing Hour podcast. Ari,
Yes.
what's up? How's your week?
Exhausting a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm like getting sick or something. So
Probably.
I've literally just been like resting and doing a lot of self-care because I asked the universe for money and it gave me more work hours, which is valid. But it also makes me so tired. I'm like, yeah, I asked for this. You're right. You
I
are
want
so
like
right.
$100 bill on the sidewalk, not to actually work. Yeah.
Like I was thinking magically appear in my bank account, but I guess more shifts also works.
I'm thinking long lost relative with an inheritance.
Yeah, I get the inheritance and
not overtime.
Exactly, but exactly. But I start my master's program in like 3 weeks.
That's so exciting.
And my orientation is this week.
Let's go.
And I'm super excited.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
So I've done some resting, but now it's time to get back into doing productive things.
Yeah.
Get back in that grind set, you know?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Get that grind set for sure.
How are you doing, Maggie?
Well, I've been crazy sick. Which I didn't realize. Yeah. I was like sick for like 3 days and I was like, I'm sure it's fine. And then I woke up one morning and I looked at my tonsils and I was like, oh dear Lord. That is wow.
Like, oh my god.
I can't be around people with these tonsils. I was like, this has gotta be something. Went to the doctor, it was something. So I was like, okay, well I guess I'll take 1 day off of work. I had to tell all my
guess
friends.
I'll stop working.
Yeah, I told my friends, hey, I know we hung out like this weekend. Well, I have strep throat like a 12-year-old. So
oh no, that's the worst.
It's so sad.
I remember when I got COVID and I was like, oh, this is gonna be so embarrassing because now I have to text everyone I know just to make sure that they're safe also.
Right.
Like, and I'm the one that could have gotten them sick.
It's so bad. Like I would feel
being
awful.
ground zero sucks.
Yeah. But like I feel like everyone in the world is sick right now. Everyone
no, seriously.
So sick.
Wait, don't touch me. Don't touch me. Get away from me. Keep your sickness away.
Scary. But yeah, I'm feeling better now. I was like going to work and then like coming home and going straight to sleep. I was just so exhausted.
Honestly,
like,
you're stronger than me.
When my throat was really bad, I was not sleeping at all. It hurt so bad. I was like laying in bed for 6 hours. And then,
it's just like straight up pain.
Yeah, it was awful. And so I finally
can't imagine.
Yeah, so it's my weekend. So I'm trying to have like, a little productive me week.
Okay.
And then I gotta do whatever he wants to do.
That's nice. You get to see your brother. Like, at least you're feeling better. And then you got some family coming in. Because did your brother start college last year?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he's about to start his sophomore year.
It's crazy.
I know. He's so old. He's old. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
I can only imagine what that feels like having like
So
your
weird.
youngest sibling, because you're the middle child, right?
Yeah. It's weird. So like I got the experience of Emma like growing up and I was like, okay, I know how to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Having to show Will how to do it.
Oh, that's so
like,
weird.
Here's how you pick a major. Here's how you do all this stuff.
Yeah.
This is how to have a successful relationship in college.
I love that. That's so funny.
It's so weird. Yeah.
That is so crazy. But that'll be, is it just him coming?
Him and his girlfriend.
Oh,
his girlfriend. I love them both so much.
That's gonna be so fun.
I know. She's like the sweetest girl in the whole world.
I'm glad that he, found someone nice and sweet.
I know. They're great. Actually, last time my mom came, it was her and my aunt and then Will's girlfriend, Katanya. All three of them came and we had like
That is a beautiful name. What the heck?
Katanya? Yeah.
I've never heard that name, ever.
She's so great. She's amazing. Yeah, she's awesome.
A beautiful, magical being.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's perfect.
It's crazy.
Katanya,
she's perfect.
I love you.
Katanya, you a real one.
I love you so much.
Whoa.
I love you. Me and my mom keep telling Will, we're like, if you guys ever break up, like, we're keeping Catania. Sorry. She's great. She's
I
our
love
friend
that.
now. Yeah. But yeah.
Anyhow, sorry for that little bit of catching up, y'all.
We have to do it.
We gotta catch up a little bit. I hope you guys like a little bit of insight into our lives, and if not, then I guess let us know and we will shut up. Oh,
just hit the little forward
too
skip
bad.
button. Yeah.
yeah. Skip. We'll do a little timestamp for like when the real podcast starts.
Here's the actual content.
Here's the real stuff you've been waiting for.
Really,
Don't
I
even.
feel like our lives are the more interesting part.
Yeah. Well,
sure, we're talking about knights and heroes and magical
that
stories.
is so true.
Like,
but
what about us?
Our life is the magical story.
Yeah, and that's what all this is about anyway. So suck it up and listen to our stories.
Yeah, because we are also telling you stories of tales of old, okay, and relating them to our current lives. And in case tales of old and tales of now, and in case y'all haven't been here for this series of the Questing Hour, we are doing our Monday episodes, recapping a figure either in fantasy medieval history or real life medieval history, and telling you their life story, analyzing it from a literary perspective, how it has changed the framework of how we view medieval times and their life stories. And on Thursdays we have our special guests. Last week we talked about Beowulf on Monday, and then we had our wonderful conversation with Noli on Thursday.
It was so great. And if you guys didn't know, at the end of every episode, we give you a side quest, something to kind of spark some inspiration, some fantasy, some magic into your everyday week. And so last week we had this side quest to have a feast or a special meal that was intentional. And then it was to live a day in like a magical fantasy land in your mind.
Yeah, so, like a nice little mindset.
Yeah. Ari, did you complete your side quest?
I actually did, because I definitely have been dipping my toes too much into the takeout food realm.
Oh, yeah. It's bad.
Because it's so bad. It's just the convenience of it is so addicting. Yeah. And I'm like, I know that I'm like doing other things while I wait for my food, but also I'm like, am I just being lazy and not cooking? You know what I mean? And so it's like, it feels like very much like a double-edged sword. And yeah, I'll admit it. I am probably definitely being a little lazy because I'm relying on that convenience of like having someone else make and bring the food to me. Yeah. But it's very costly, man.
It is so expensive.
Yeah.
It is so convenient.
It is so convenient. Yeah. But I had some like buffalo ranch chicken that I had marinated in the fridge. And I was like, you know what? Now is the perfect time to make this. And I made buffalo ranch chicken, and then I made mac and cheese to mix it with. And I cooked a vegetable with it, and I toasted some buttered bread. And I literally was like, you know what? I'm vibing right now. I'm loving it. So good. Like it was way better than I thought. I definitely could have made, I feel like, the buffalo chicken a bit better, but no, it was so good. I was like, you know what? I'm proud of myself for cooking this whole ass meal.
That sounds
I am so full right now.
Yeah.
I saved money because I didn't order anything. So that's incredible. Did you complete your quest, Maggie?
I did. So we were talking about like naming a drink or something of like whatever intention that you want to have that day. The day I went back to work after I was sick, I was like, man, I really need something to get me through this day. So I got a coffee from my favorite coffee shop, and then I was like, this drink is my get better drink of the day.
Yes.
And it will make me feel better to survive work. And I was like, stir. And I drank it. And I survived the day.
I love that.
Yeah, and I should have done that today, because today was exhausting, and I almost didn't make it. But I did.
That's like that's funny, because I feel like, so when you kind of, have your drink and name it with an intention, that's like that's witchcraft.
Yeah,
that's a form of witchcraft. So we're definitely bringing in the magical element into that kind of thing. And if you guys haven't done that, you can literally do that like every day with your drinks. Like sit down with your morning coffee and stir it in a direction of whatever you want to occur. Yeah. So like clockwise and counterclockwise mean different things. But they all work with sharpening your intent for your day, your work, your energy. It's just like putting your mind into direct action of just like thinking of your intentions. And that is a good way to set your day. Like, you know how people say, like, oh, think of, if you're ever in a bad state of mind, just think of like things that you're grateful for, because then it helps you look on like the brighter side.
Yeah, and like
it's kind of like that.
Place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So you're like, okay, I want money and I will be rich. Yeah, I will be rich.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It's just like doing things that you would do anyway and just adding meaning to them.
Yeah, and just making them more significant.
Yeah, it's just like more fulfilling. Because like I was gonna get a coffee anyway, even if it wasn't my feel better potion of the day.
Absolutely.
So I might as well be like, yeah, this coffee is gonna do what it needs to do, and it's gonna make me feel better.
Exactly.
Be like coffee.
Exactly.
I'm gonna die. Yeah.
And that's what this podcast is all about too. Even like something as simple as that kind of quest is like that is what this podcast is about. We want you to bring the magic into your day and also start doing things intentionally throughout your day and with your day. Yeah. Whatever that may be.
Yeah, just thinking about why you do the things that you have to do and how you can make them more special and meaningful to you.
And that's what adventure is, my friends.
And that's our adventure!
That is our adventure.
I love adventuring with you, Ari. I really do.
I love adventuring with you!
Well, what adventure are we getting into this week?
Well, today we are adventuring back into olden times. For all my ladies out there, you are now knights. Because we are going to talk about one of the first ever women knights ever, Joan of Arc.
You all know the name. We all know Joan of Arc. She's amazing. She's the queen of the bob.
Queen of the bob!
Patron saint of France. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. French military leader.
Yeah, man, she's great.
She's great.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone has heard of her. Oh, yeah. Wait, that would be sick because you already have the cowl.
Have the thing, yeah. But I'm thinking like, I don't want to be disrespectful to her memory, but I am gonna go as sexy Joan of Arc. I'm thinking like chainmail bra.
Y'all, I went on Spotify. Maggie, for those on Spotify, Maggie was like, I don't want to be disrespectful to her memory, and is like nodding her head, like she's already made her mind up. She's like,
I don't, but
I am.
Sexy Joan of Arc.
I'm gonna.
Yeah, I have to do it.
Oh my god!
I see the vision in my head, and it's just too good to.
You know what? We love you, Joan.
Joan of Arc died a virgin. So
it just keeps getting worse.
I know. I feel so bad. But let's learn about her first.
Let's respect her a little bit before Maggie goes and slanders her name.
Slanders her name. But we have a couple months before I get to do that. So
yeah, hopefully y'all forget. Maggie's gonna be slandering her by then.
I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, Joan of Arc, who is she?
Yeah.
Let's see. As we've said, she is one of the most prominent and first lady knights that there were. She was a lady knight, but she cross-dressed as a man to kind of fit in more. So we definitely have her as a French military leader. And she was a saint and recognized as a martyr in a lot of ways. But before anything else, she was a young woman who just, I think, wanted her place in the world. In a world that didn't give her any place. Yeah,
exactly. There was a couple of quotes from her, which I think is really cool that so much of her actual, like, things that she said was documented.
It's still, like, existing.
But they were talking about, we'll get into this later, but they were convicting her of the crime of wearing men's clothing. Because they needed something to peg on her, you know?
Yeah, they were like,
we gotta get this woman somehow.
How are we gonna get her in trouble?
You're wearing men's clothes, that's illegal. And she's like, well, first of all, I'm a knight, and you guys don't make night clothes.
Women knightly clothes, yeah.
Yeah. Second of all, I'm on a horse all day. How am I supposed to wear women's clothes on a horse all day? She's like, I'm not trying to make a political stance. It's just more practical.
Yeah, it's more practical. Like, everything was made for men. And they were like, well, definitely did not like that. Ooh, she got us there.
Yeah. So she's kind of seen as like a symbol of both feminism and like gender ideology and gender fluidity just because it was more practical for her to present as a man in like the quest that she was on, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I also think it's important to note that a lot of Joan of Arc's recognized history and her story takes place between the span of only 6 years.
Wow.
That, or at least the stuff she's most famous for, takes span, you know, in between 6 years. You know, at the age of 13, she started hearing voices and seeing visions, and a lot of people would probably consider that either, you know, a witch or a prophet, depending on who you were and where you were standing
and what
at this
was your
point.
Gender.
And what your gender was, of course.
Yeah, and then and then by 19 she was burned to the stake. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So everything we'll be talking about, just keep in mind how young she actually is.
Ridiculous.
And doing all of the things that we're telling you. She's between the ages of 13, and a lot of stuff happens when she's 16, and then she ends up being killed at 19.
Crazy. Ari, what were you doing at 19?
Oh my god. I literally think I was doing things I am not allowed to do at the age of 19 in my dorm room. Redacted. No, but I moved away from home, and I remember like still, and this was I was still freaking out because I was like, I'm just going to class every day. I'm still a student.
Yeah.
I'm considered a young adult, but I still feel like a kid basically because I don't feel like I'm contributing in any way to society at all. I'm just going to school, man. I'm taking tests and I'm skipping homework, and you know, it's the same old stuff.
I know.
And I can't imagine doing anything else.
We were still living in like dorms, so college felt like summer camp still.
Literally.
We were just like doing our little tasks, carrying a backpack every day still. And Joan of Arc was, you know, leading France to victory on the battlefield.
Yeah. I was literally like leaving my dorm room. I would go to class. I'd go back to my dorm room, change into my work clothes, and then go to work on campus. Like I didn't even leave campus to do anything. I didn't have a car. I didn't have my license.
And me either.
I didn't have a car. Didn't have a license. Like I did not have my life together essentially, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you know, Joan at this young of an age, like, kind of had to have her shit together because she was a young woman trying to convince a world full of men that she deserved to have a place.
Yeah.
So basically, like, when she starts hearing these voices and these visions at the age of 13, she ultimately comes to a decision based on the voices she's hearing and the visions that she's having, that she has been given by God this very important mission.
Yeah.
And it has given her purpose. And her purpose is to basically save France by help expelling the enemies. I think by this time it is the 100 Years' War between France and England. So this has been a long time going, and I think still continues afterwards for a long time. But she has it in her head, based on what she's been told, that she is supposed to save France. She is to help expel the enemies and install Charles as the king of France, basically, who is right now, I think, the prince regent of France. And that was her purpose. That was her duty. And so everything she did after this moment is what fulfilled her.
Amazing.
Which is crazy to think about.
Yeah. And so she kind of became this figurehead for the French army. She never actually like fought.
No, she didn't.
Yeah, but
she never
was, like, on the battlefield. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, let's go, guys, let's go. Ari, live.
I had to mute myself because I was literally, I breathed in, and instead of like getting ready to talk, it was like down my throat.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Yeah, she was not a fighter. She was essentially just a mascot, but she was a strategist. She never killed anybody. She was the one that was like, hey, you guys go here, you guys go there, and do this and do that, and then I'll just carry our banner and tell you guys what to do, basically.
Which, at the age of 16, that is unbelievable to have that much
literally
knowledge
crazy
about war and bravery to be on the battlefield.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I know what to do, obviously.
Bro, I know.
I got God in my head telling me what to do.
Exactly. She's like, I know what's happening.
Obviously. And she just had no doubt, like, at all. It was, like, crazy. She's like, yeah, I was chosen
She was very convicted and confident about what she was chosen for.
Yeah.
You know? And so she basically goes up to the prince and is like, hey, man, you should let me fight in this battle. I promise you I'll win. And supposedly, I read somewhere online that she had a conversation with him in order to convince him. And nobody knows what was said in that conversation, but she ended up convincing him because he was like, yeah, okay, you can lead your own whole army, of which you have never done before.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do that. Yeah. And she won the battle.
That is so crazy.
Her first ever, like, I want to know what she convinced, like, because, like, unfortunately, my head goes into that spot where it's like, was it a sexual act where, like, he took advantage of her wanting something and was like, all right, I'll give you this if you do this type of situation. But I'm just thinking about the times also, because that is probably very likely. But maybe she did know something. Maybe she had, like, a message. So I think the rumor is that she knew something from, like, the voices in her head that nobody else should know.
Yeah.
And she told that to the prince. And he was like, oh. Yeah. And that's why he agreed to let her lead her own army.
In my head, it's like in the movies where she, like, leans close and she, like, whispers his deepest, darkest secret to him, and he's like,
yeah, and he's like, how do you know that?
only the person chosen by God to lead France would know that.
Literally, I hope that is the case.
Yeah.
But yeah, so she ended up winning her first battle, and because of that battle, they were able to basically reclaim the city, I'm pretty sure, and they crowned him, basically crowned him king.
Yeah.
But they still had England occupying the majority of France, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So what was he king of? Who knows?
Small victories.
Small victories is all that matters.
Yeah.
But even after the battle, she was like, hey, since we won this battle, I think I could take my troops into Paris and we could reclaim Paris. And he was like, no, let's not do that. I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
And so they didn't. They didn't listen to Joan of Arc.
Come on. Listen to Joni.
Listen to Joni. And basically they tried to reclaim a part of a castle that was taken over by, I think, English troops and some other people. And it didn't end up working out. So they went to go flee back to the city.
Yeah.
And she was knocked off her horse and left behind, and they locked her out of the city.
Oh my God.
And so she was captured by these Englishmen and brought back to the castle that was occupied. And that's where she was put on trial.
Dang. And then
after that, she was burned at the stake.
Gosh.
So, yeah. When they tried her, like, it was crazy because when they tried her, they were like, here's all your crimes. And it's like 70 charges.
Yeah.
A whole list of just woman. There was witchcraft on there. Heresy was on there. And of course, dressing like a man was on there. And they ended up, like, whittling it down to 12 charges, I'm pretty sure, from the 70. And it was those 12 charges that they were like, all right, you deserve to die for this.
Yeah, we gotcha.
And the majority of them had to do with acting like a man.
Which is crazy. So
Isn't that
wild.
so weird?
Yeah. Like, personally, I mean, I believe that she was hearing the voice of God, but like, I would have gotten her on that first. Be like, that seems like
That's what I'm saying. Like
blasphemy,
exactly.
witchcraft. Yeah.
Witchcraft, you say?
Yeah.
But no, they were like, why are you cross-dressing? Like,
Yeah. Like, how dare you? How dare
how
you wear
dare
boy
you
clothes and you're a
pretend to be a
girl?
man when you
Yeah.
are not?
Mhm.
Like, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
So wild. Mhm.
Yeah, so she did end up, and she actually wasn't referred to as Joan of Arc until after she had died.
Oh. Wow, I didn't know that.
So history has kind of named her,
Mhm.
or like the famous Joan of Arc, because
Yeah.
she didn't have a known last name, and she
Mhm.
referred to herself as Joan the Maid.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember her French name that they called her. It was like La Pucelle or something, which literally
Yeah.
means like the Virgin.
Mm-hmm.
Because like she was like a child leading their army.
Literally.
Crazy.
Yeah, and the crazy part is I feel like
Mhm.
most of the depictions of Joan of Arc depict her as like a full-grown woman, but she
Yeah.
was literally a child.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, like legally not a minor, you know, up until some point.
Yeah.
But for the most of it, she was.
Mhm.
She was literally a minor, a child. Like imagine,
Mhm.
you know, your brothers or sisters or nephews or cousins,
Yeah.
like just leading a full-on army that they could
Mhm.
probably get killed in, you know?
Yeah. It'd be
Mm.
like a 10th grader
Literally.
leading the French army. Yeah.
Which is
I
so
don't trust him. Yeah.
which is so crazy. Yeah,
Mhm.
she like so she had many names that they referred to her as, and of course
Mhm.
how she referred to herself, because like I said, they didn't really know her last name because most people take their father's last names, but in the hometown that she was in,
Mhm.
all the people took their mother's last names.
Oh.
But her mom's last name was a
Mhm.
name that was given to her because she was basically an immigrant from Rome or another like
Mhm.
religious like Vatican type city,
Yeah.
and she traveled from those cities to where she grew up.
Okay. Okay.
And so her mom's last name is not her real last name. It's the one that was given to her because she was an immigrant.
Mhm.
And then they don't take their father's last name. So everyone was like, okay, Joan d'Arc, which is her dad's kind of last name
Mhm.
in French, of course.
Yeah.
But and then her mom's last name started with an R. So some
Mhm.
people referred to her as that. And then
Yeah.
she was like, no, I'm just Joan. Just call
I'm
me
just
Joan the maid.
that maid. Yeah. That's
Maid
me.
lady.
Just
But
just call me
I
Maggie the girl.
just call me you know, Ari woman.
Just call me Ari woman.
Ari woman.
That's who I am, really. Also, let me lead your army.
Yeah, let me take all your troops and tell them what to do in battle. When it's so crucial in this that they're trying to reclaim their land.
Right?
He's like, I'm gonna let this child do it.
I know what we need. A 15-year-old.
The prophecy from God.
Prophecy.
So
Well,
you said
actually,
that you
yeah.
think, you said that you think that she was actually hearing God. What?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So there was, when she was having the conversation with Prince Charles, one of the reasons he was like so willing to believe her was that in the medieval times, during like the King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, there was a story about Merlin, the famous wizard Merlin, and he had a prophecy that said that a young woman would be the leader of the French army and lead France to freedom. And they literally said a young French woman will sit
Wait,
on a
what?
horse carrying a banner, lead France to freedom.
That's her.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. I read something because that makes okay. So that is true. Okay. Let's just say that Joan is the woman of the prophecy.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a moment after they reclaim the city, after she won the battle, where the prince's or king's like right-hand man is like, hey, Joan's getting too power hungry. I don't think we should trust her anymore.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if he's the reason that the prophecy was never fulfilled.
Probably. Like, they're like, hey, we have this good thing going.
let's ruin it.
Get rid of her.
Let's get rid of her because she's a woman.
Right.
Yeah. He essentially was like, hey, I think she's getting too power hungry, trying to tell you what to do and stuff. You know, she's saying that we should reclaim Paris, but I think we're good right now. I think we should strategize. Yeah. You know, maybe you shouldn't have given her that position. And what happens after that? She falls off her horse and gets left behind.
Seems like a conspiracy to me.
Seems a little fishy, if you ask me.
But I wonder if they had kept following her.
If they had kept listening to her.
If they would have actually, like, succeeded. Because eventually they did lose the war. But I feel like if Joan was in charge, things would have gone a little differently.
That's... So who knew about the Merlin prophecy? Do we know?
So it was like... Did she know? It was like a story that people would tell. Like, they would tell...
That's so crazy. Just like a legend.
Stories. Yeah, they were telling stories about King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and it was like one of the stories they would tell. Yeah.
That's so wild to, like, think about.
Right. Wait, I know this one.
Like, because most stories at this time were word of mouth. Like, it was just kind of like rumors that everyone told each other. And so, like, thinking about it, like, that just sounds like it was meant to be, and, like, humanity got in the way of it.
Right? Like, this is... It sounds like a lot like an act of fate. Like,
yeah, literally.
And they were like,
sounds like it was literally meant to be. She won her first battle ever.
Yeah.
There's no way that was by chance.
Right. And then humans were like, actually, let's do this our own way.
Yeah.
And they lost.
So
crazy.
That's so crazy.
I'm gonna sneeze really hard.
Bless you. Mackie's face is scrunching up right now.
It's gone. It's gone.
No, it's not. That is the worst.
That's the worst feeling ever. It's like right in my nose.
After Joan had passed away, I have a really horrible fact, because I feel like we're going to start getting into more of the themes of her life.
Yeah.
So I want to mention this real quick because it's so messed up, and I feel like we could bring this up a few times afterwards. But for like 6 years after Joan died, her brothers passed off a imposter for Joan. Saying that she had escaped the execution and miraculously lived. And they would go around, like, accepting praise and gifts and money in honor of Joan and all this other stuff. And it was just like, okay, our sister's dead. Let's use her power she had given herself, her authority, essentially, for our own advantage.
Wow. Okay, that's crazy.
Isn't that horrible?
That's so evil of it.
Literally, and evil. And I can only imagine, like, from the women's perspective, she's like, yeah, I'll do this because I have nothing.
Yeah, I need the money.
I need to live. But like, it's just, I read that and I was like,
blessed with an amazing gift and, like, a great story.
Well, everyone thought she was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh.
Just take advantage of it.
Seriously.
Ridiculous.
So that is the majority of information we have gathered about Joan's history. But of course, you guys can do your own research. You are welcome to. And if you find anything interesting that we didn't bring up about her history and life specifically, please feel free to share with us. A lot of my information came from, like, so many things on history.com because there are so many separate articles about Joan, because she is one of the only prominent women knights in history. Like, there's this link on history.com where it's like 8 of the most famous knights in history of all time, and she is the only woman on that list.
Yeah, I mean, I can't name another female knight.
I can't think of any other female knight, literally.
I can't think of one. Yeah.
Not a single knight. And so I thought that was really interesting, that this is kind of the legacy that she leaves behind. You know, despite how horrible the end was.
Yeah, she's still seen as, like, all the things that she did during her life. Well, that brings us to, what is Joan of Arc to us today?
Is she?
Well, later on, after her death, the Catholic Church, I forgot what the word is, but They made her into a patron saint.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I forgot what that word is.
I don't know what the word is either.
But
I'm like blinking.
They decided that she'd be a saint. And so she is the patron saint of France, soldiers, prisoners, those in need of courage, those that are ridiculed for their faith, youth, young women, and survivors of sexual assault. And so that is kind of who she is a saint over. I thought that
I
was
love
really
that.
cool. Mm-hmm.
I love that they gave her something, because I feel like one of the things like she obviously was tried for was like hearing the visions, but they blame that on witchcraft and not kind of, heresy to the church or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so like for something that was probably taken for granted of in her real life before she had died
Mm-hmm.
is something that is valued now in the very church that she claimed to be a prophet of, basically.
Yeah. And so in France and in the Catholic Church, when they're talking about her, they compare her to famous biblical women like Deborah and Judith, both who were like two of the only female prophets in the Bible.
Who's Deborah?
Deborah is somebody's wife. Deborah.
I've never heard of either of those women.
Yeah. So there's, obviously very few.
Yeah. Well,
women
the majority of
mm-hmm.
people in the Bible are Maggie and I occasionally do a Bible study together,
mm-hmm.
and we're going through the very beginning of the Old Testament, and pretty much besides Eve and freaking what's his wife's name? Like Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, there's not a lot of like women in the story unless they're like side characters, essentially.
No, literally, or somebody's wife.
Or somebody's wife, somebody's daughter, but it's like all about the men and the men carrying on the legacy throughout the times, and all things like that. And so it's really kind of I want to not satisfying, but satisfying that she has taken her place in the church even after death,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And she's also compared to Esther from the Bible, who was kind of like forced to marry a king, but she used her position to save her native people and to be like, hey, I'm a royal now, you're a king, like I'm going to save my people, and I'm going to do it through the power that I've gained through this forced marriage. And so like using her position as a woman in a society where she doesn't have all that power, and creating something good out of it and saving her own people. And so I think Joan of Arc could be mentioned in that same conversation and being like, she wasn't believed as a woman, but she did what she had to do to get like into a position of power, and then she used it to save France.
What she had to do. Yeah.
And I think that is so great.
It's literally
nobody
so
believed
powerful.
her, so they were like, we'll put her in the church.
Yeah, and I definitely think that's a testament to how strong, your will can be, as long as you know that like you want to do something for the right reasons and want it enough, as like your want needs to be greater than your fear. And obviously Joan was not scared at all to try to go to royalty and be like, literally. Hey, trust me, give me an army. I know I'm a woman, but I can do it, and I will win for France. And what did she do? She did all of those things.
Yeah. One of her most famous quotes is literally, I am not afraid. I was born to do this. Which is like, whoa.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm chills. I literally got chills.
16 years old going to a king saying,
like,
I'm not afraid to lead this army because this is what I was born to do.
Like, this is something that I would have read in, like, I feel like a YA novel when I was in high school, and been like I wish I could be her. Yeah, you would tell, I read that and be like, oh, I wish I could be her. Like, no, this was a real life 16-year-old kid. And she was so
the chosen one.
She was so confident and convicted in her path and the visions and things that she heard, that it was far greater than her fear, and it carried her for her entire rest of her life.
And it was also greater than everybody else's doubt.
Obviously,
she was able to convince them to let her lead the army.
Exactly.
And convince all these men to listen to her orders, and all the way to victory. And just because she was like, I believe that that this is real so much that I'm gonna make the entire French army do what I say. She's so cool.
That's
She's
literally so cool.
cool.
Oh my god. I'm just like, I can't even fathom, because obviously we're in a time in modern day history where we don't have to like think about doing that or wanting that. You know, I'm pretty sure, even at least in America, I'm pretty sure I don't know if you can, I don't think you can join the military until you're 18.
Yeah.
So it's like she was already leading an army and winning battles before that.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom.
Right.
Like, that is just not clicking in my brain.
So crazy. And she just knew. Like, I didn't know anything when I was 16.
Yeah. I think she's a really good example of the capability of women, and how women have always been so capable, but it's really been society that has shut them down and turned them out.
Yeah.
She is definitely a figurehead of feminism for sure. At its very core and base,
Yeah.
like, she is a feminist.
No, literally. Against society, against all
society,
odds.
against all odds.
She said, I'm going to take the power that I deserve, that I know I'm supposed to have. I said, go girl. You better do it.
Yeah. It really is incredible to even think about.
Yeah. It blows my mind. And like all those years ago too. Like, society has changed so much, and we've made a lot of great steps. I don't know if something like that would happen now. They just
I don't know if I could do that even now.
Yeah. They just let a young woman lead an army just because she really wants to.
Just because she wants to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, individual citizens can't even own weapons until a certain age and passing all these things. But, like,
we have a hard enough time electing a female president. One that's 45 or older.
One step forward and 10 steps back.
Yeah.
No, but like, it just really, I think the thing that got me the most was like her being like, hey, you know, I am a woman, but obviously society is built for men, so I'm gonna dress and ride like a man because that's the safest thing to do for me. I don't care what kind of clothes it is. I'm a knight. That's it. Period.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, why are you dressing like a man? And she's like, I'm not a man. I just have to wear knight's clothing. I'm a knight.
Yeah. Not
like,
a man. I'm a knight. It's your fault. You don't make gender neutral armor.
Yeah, no. Literally, because like there was one time, shout out to my dad, because my dad is not from the same generation as me, obviously. And when things come up, when it comes to certain things regarding like gender or sexuality, or even just like different viewpoints, he always comes to me and he'll be like, hey, I have a question just because I'm a little confused. Can you explain it to me so it makes sense? And like, I really respect that out of him, because he might not always agree with me, but he definitely looks to see the other viewpoint. Yeah. But there was one time he was asking about how some people try to raise their kids as gender neutral. Not to get a little political, I'm just giving y'all insight to the conversation to get to a point. But he was asking me if I had, you know, wanted to be raised gender neutral. And I was like, well, thankfully I feel comfortable in my body that I don't think, I'm glad you raised me the way that you did. But if I didn't feel comfortable in my body, I probably would have wished you raised me gender neutral. Yeah. But that like brought on further questions, because I was like, I work in retail and I'm like staring at the store and I'm like, why are the clothes organized by man and woman? Are they not just all clothes? Because I can guarantee you I can name plenty of women who wear men's clothing.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The men's section at Target.
Just like
immaculate.
They're just all clothes.
Yeah, and clothes is clothes.
Clothes is clothes. But here we are as a society still separating them into this idea of strictly men and strictly women. Even after all this time, from Joan of Arc's time, who was just wanted to be a knight, we still do this thing where we're like, hey, why are you wearing a woman's skirt? Why are you wearing a men's suit? Like, it's just like, we've come so far as a society, but we still see these things that she had to go through in glimpses of our own society.
Yeah. I think it's interesting when people kind of say, like, all of these conversations about gender and like identity are just coming up like out of the blue nowadays. Yeah. When you look at like things like this, and we've been talking about presenting as a specific gender since the 1200s.
Yeah.
And even before that.
Yeah. Like, it's always been a theme throughout history.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that, like, the other thing, too, is, like, as it becomes more acceptable to be open in society, or, you know what I mean? As open as one can safely be in certain parts of the world. But I feel like as time goes on, like, obviously we're in a better place than we were way back then, because no one's getting
We're
burned
not
at the
gonna get
stake.
burned at the stake. Yeah.
Yeah. By the government, no less. But it's like one of those things where it's like, well, why are we still feeling this way if it's always been talked about in this way? Like, this is it's just the only reason you think it's all of a sudden a new thing is because it is acceptable to be more open. You think all women in Joan of Arc's time would have had, you know, enough conviction and confidence over their fear to do what she had done?
Yeah.
No, because you had a woman taking advantage of her death to better herself afterward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For her safety, for her money, and her future, she was over here pretending to be a dead woman.
Throwing another woman's name under the bus. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's like, I think it's just a matter of how accepting it is to be open now compared to then that those things arise. But it really comes into question of, like, what is femininity and what is masculinity.
Yeah.
Because I imagine Joan was just a regular woman who presented very masculine because she had to be. She was surrounded by men. She was in an army, but she was still a woman. She was still feminine in ways that, especially how society perceived her. Because like we said, she was a knight through and through. That's it. But from the outside looking in, people were probably like, that's a woman pretending to be something she's not.
Yeah.
As opposed to, that is a great woman right there.
Right? Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm glad that history has done her life well, has done her service.
Yeah. Like, taken her name from something that was like, oh, this woman got killed because of all these crimes, to be like, this woman is a martyr for the things that she believes in and the person that she was at the time.
Exactly.
And I think that's really beautiful.
Absolutely. I literally just I get chills thinking about it, because I'm like, wow, this really is like, it's kind of sad when I like look at a lot of like prominent women figures in history, because like I feel like a lot of women are probably forgotten in history.
Yeah.
You know, and there are so many famous men, but that's because men probably like are often favored in history, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's really nice to see a woman knight that was probably taken advantage of in a lot of ways, but still remained her true self until the very end. Even before, when she was like being convicted of the 70 crimes, she was like, I was doing my job. I was a knight. I do hear visions. I do see things. Like, I'm not just cross-dressing. Y'all don't have things for women, so I got to do what I have to do.
Yeah.
And
but she's like, if that's a crime, I guess it's a crime. Yeah.
They gave her a chance. They were like, stop cross-dressing and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And she was like, no. And cross-dressed again.
Yeah.
And then they convicted her, and that's when she ultimately died. And she was like, that's just what it is. That's who I am. And if you can't take that, then I'm sorry.
No,
like,
she literally had no choice, because that was just who she was.
Yeah.
That was what she had to do.
Honestly, an icon.
Right. I love her.
I'm like really sad thinking about it now.
I know. Oh, Joan. Okay. Well, I have some food for thought, and I'll skip
food for thought
since we're kind of there. If you could talk to Joan of Arc today, have a little, a little tea time, maybe a little coffee thrifting sesh with Joan of Arc, what would you talk to her about?
I think my main thing would be about like her visions and the voices she was hearing. Like, I would want to know kind of like what compelled her to be like, yes, this is the real voice of God.
Yeah.
And I have to listen to it. Like, I want to know kind of what she is hearing. I want her to put me in her mindset, basically.
Right.
And I want to hear from her, like, what she was experiencing, because I just, like, I can't even picture how she would have convinced anyone else to believe her.
Right.
and I feel like I would need to know what is going on in here.
And how she would know the right words to say to convince
to
Prince
convince
Charles
people.
to let her do it. Yeah.
Exactly. And like how she even got, I feel like, the army to listen to her, because even if she was a leader, I wonder if there was like pushback of any kind, or like she won the battle, obviously, so like they had to have been listening to an extent, but I want to know just like how was she so convincing? I don't understand.
Like, you think that like the other soldiers were sitting there listening to her give a speech, and they're like, "What is this
Like,
lady
get a load of
doing?
this guy.
Load of barnacles."
Ooh, and it's
like,
like,
okay, I guess I'll do it. And then they say
all
France.
right, we'll see. I guess I'll die for France.
and then they win. And, oh,
And then
this
they win.
girl's
They're
got
like,
some good
oh
ideas.
my god, she knows what she's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I'm like. I want to know. I want her to put me in there.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Because like I'm not religious, but I want to believe that she was hearing God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and another thing too is that even now I think some scientists and historians would look back on her and diagnose her with something like schizophrenia or some other mental disorder, where it would kind of invalidate the idea that she's some sort of prophet or a messenger of God.
Yeah.
And I would like to believe that there is some sort of magic in the world that like, that she actually was some sort of messenger of God.
Yeah. And there's still people today that say they have visions from God. Like, there's a guy right down the road in Maryville who built an entire castle out of cinder blocks and recycled materials that he found in his neighborhood, because he said God told him to create a castle. And I was like, okay, I believe you.
I believe you, man.
I've been there.
That castle.
I've seen it. It's something. But you did that.
Yeah, and I mean, even in other religions and beliefs, people say that they can tap into their past lives and see the lives that they have lived before this one, and things like that. And even something like a lot of people do the ayahuasca journey, where they take, I think ayahuasca is the drug, but it's supposed to give you, like, you're supposed to like basically break consciousness, like you become like an out of body experience, and you like learn the truth of the universe and things like that.
I'd have a heart attack.
And no, I would not.
I don't need to know all that.
Good, thanks.
Sedate me.
Let me to sleep, please.
I don't need to know. I
mean, people do that, and then people do things like they take a bit of the poison from a poison dart frog. I've heard people doing that for similar reasons, just like hearing the universe, and they'll be like, if you listen closely, like you can hear what it's saying to you. And I've watched videos and I've heard so many things like online of people doing things like that, and like, who are we to say that
it's not
none of that's true? We'll never know. We really will truly never know. But I think that's a part of the problem with like convicting people for things like that is like, who am I to burn you at the stake because you think you're hearing God?
And you believe it fully. Like, I'm
not hearing God, so I wouldn't know.
Right?
And it's just it's crazy to think about. But I can't imagine why at that given time they would try her for something like that. It's just sad to think about.
I know, it's really sad.
But that is some good food for thought. What would you ask her, Maggie?
I think if we were just having a little like a hangout session, I would want to ask her what she does for fun.
Ooh, like when she's not being a knight?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of her kind of girlhood and childhood was taken from her because she was chosen for such a great thing. She didn't really have time to, grow up and learn how to be a young woman and be introduced to society and, get to have fun, play games, be like a little kid. So I'd be like, what do you actually like to do?
Who is Joan outside the night?
Do you like doing war strategy, or do you like sewing? Like, what do you want to do? Do you have hobbies?
Yeah, like, well, like, I wonder what she would have done if she had not thought she was, hearing from God.
If she didn't go on that path.
If she didn't go on that path, like,
this is what I have to do.
Be like, okay, well, France is already losing the war, so maybe I don't have to do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean?
She would have done, yeah.
Otherwise. And, like, that's scary to think about because, one, she probably could have died anyway because the war continued. So, like...
Right, yeah.
And it's just... I don't know. It's so crazy. I can't... Obviously, we can't really picture it because, like, again, her will was stronger than her fear. Mm-hmm. And if she had picked any other path, that would have been her fear overtaking her will that was given to her from God, right. Her purpose,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
So many people search for a purpose, and then when they get it, shy away from the purpose because they're scared.
Yep, exactly.
And she did not do that.
Yeah, so I guess we'll never know.
I guess we'll never know.
Get a hobby, please. I'm worried for you.
Get a hobby, please.
Her whole life is work. It makes me so stressed out for her. Do something fun. Do something fun.
So, yeah, for sure. Maggie and I want you guys to think about what you would do if you were in Joan's shoes.
Yeah.
And also think about the values of masculine versus feminine in maybe back then society and in today's society.
And now.
And where it rests within you. Because some people really do think, for example, clothes should be separate in the store.
Mm-hmm. Why do
just
you think
organization, situation, labeled, men, women, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you think that they should? Why do you feel that way? What do you think is its purpose? And why does it matter to you so much? And what were you doing at 19? Let us know, please. We must.
Yeah, I want to know.
I want to know.
I really need to know what everyone was doing at 19.
I
might
got
do like a little poll
but...
on Instagram.
Yes, please.
What were you guys doing at 19? Please let us know.
Please
let
us know.
Saving France? That's an important question. Probably not. Probably not. Unless it was. I want to know.
Unless it was.
That'd be pretty sick. Please hit us up.
And then if you met Joan today, what would you ask her? What, values would you want to take from meeting her? Because she's a prominent woman. And I think as a symbol of faith and feminism and just gender ideology that you can so much insight. You can gain so much from her that you can literally ask anything. I feel as though even though she is so young, she lived a life beyond her own existence.
She had a wisdom that transcended her age. So I
feel
like she has a lot to say, a lot of strong opinions, probably a lot of insight. You could learn anything from her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man. What a woman.
What a woman.
I
like doing this research.
Yeah.
Like it's so nice. It feels so thorough and organized. And like I learned so much.
I know.
I'm like, I knew nothing about Joan of Arc except she won a battle for France. And that's it.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm like, oh my God. I just like, mind expanded. This girl.
Man, she's so cool.
And I definitely want to preface by saying that Maggie and I do our own research. So if we get anything wrong, don't be afraid to tell us that there are other sources of any information that we got wrong. We are kind of just, we did our research. We created a PowerPoint, but we are kind of spitballing with our thoughts and speculations on top of the history knowledge that we have searched for. So
it's a loose history for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the facts are there. Yeah.
Yeah, the main information and purpose is there. But yeah, definitely let us know anything y'all know about Joan or any of the other figures that we talk about on our Mondays for sure.
Yeah. And if you guys are really, really into something, let us know and we'll dive into it.
We will dive into it.
We'll deep dive into it. If you guys want, we'll bring you on and you can yap away about it.
Yap.
Love when people do that. I love hearing about people's special interests.
Yapper.
Yeah. We love to yap. We love to yap. We want to meet other yappers. Yeah.
Yeah, I always think I'm yapping too much. I have to catch myself because I'm like, I know I'm yapping too much and Maggie hasn't talked for like 10 minutes. And then I gotta like be quiet.
I could listen to you forever. I'm like, please keep talking,
She's like,
please.
yes.
I'm eating it up. I'm learning so much. Let me into your brain.
Oh my God. But yeah,
That's Joan
I
of Arc.
that is Joan of Arc. Ain't that crazy?
That is crazy.
And of course, we have a couple of quests for you today.
Yeah, and I'm already thinking about how I'm gonna complete it. So,
I know, me too.
I already had a great idea for our quest, and our quest this week is
Our main quest this week is to attend a sword fighting class in some way, shape, or form. That is your main quest. So whether you look up a video online and you take your lightsaber from Disney World, hopefully you didn't spend like $90 on it like I did.
No, we got the cheap $30 ones too, though.
Yeah, if you got that $10 one from Target, that works too.
Yep. Or
I
like
want
a long
y'all
stick.
to go out on your lawn, take that broomstick, take that lightsaber, and practice sword fighting like you are a knight in the French army. I want you to pretend you are Joan of Arc and your
Yeah.
life depends on it.
You better fight. Fight those trees. Fight those sticks.
Maggie and I have taken lightsabers and fought each other on the lawn before.
Yes, we have. And it is so fun. You will not regret it.
So fun.
It's too
No
fun.
regrets.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you can't go to, because I know there are classes that teach you how to use like
Mhm.
weapons like that. So definitely go to one of those or take a YouTube video, take your kids, go outside,
Yeah.
take your siblings, maybe beat each other up with the lightsabers if you
Always
gotta.
fun. Always
But
fun.
I want y'all to pretend that you are Joan of Arc
Mhm.
and you are leading the French army, and it is your job to fight.
You have to. Fight! And then take a video of it. If you learn any cool, like, twisty tricks and flips,
Yes,
please
I've seen
share
people
them
with the
with us.
lightsaber where they like they wrap
Yes!
it behind their back and
Oh
like
my
spin it. I'm like,
gosh.
oh my god!
I'm so jealous
I
of those
never
people.
wish Star Wars
They look
was more
so
real.
cool. They look so cool. Please show us your sword fighting skills. Show
No,
us
seriously.
and share them with us. Hashtag
Or
my
if
questing
you-
hour.
Yes, or if you know of any really cool videos that are already posted, tag us at
Yes.
Questing Hour Podcast, Questing HR Podcast on most social media platforms except Twitter. We are just Questing Hour.
Yeah, we'll watch those videos, we'll learn them, and then we'll recreate
We'll recreate them for our TikTok for sure.
Yeah.
But I also have a little Ari quest for
Ari
y'all.
quest! I love it.
So I recently found some one of my favorite snacks at like a Mediterranean food mart, and it is a snack that I learned from TikTok years ago, and it is pickled garlic with siracha and like thyme seasoning. But I put parsley in it. I like it with parsley.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned this on TikTok, and for years, for months, I couldn't find it. I forgot about it, whatever. And I found it at the store and I tried it, and it is my new obsession.
It's literally amazing.
It's so good. You wouldn't even think it's good, but it's just like garlic. Ew, that's disgusting. But it's so good if you like garlic, y'all.
Yeah.
For real. So I definitely recommend. But my quest for you is to go through your social media for things that you have liked or saved or sent to your friends that you were like, hey, let's do this thing, and then never did it. I want you to find those things and do one of them. Do the thing you said you were going to do and never did.
I love that.
That is my Ari quest for y'all.
Oh, so good. So great. I've been seeing so many, like, I've been seeing a lot of Deadpool and Wolverine edits.
Oh my gosh. So good.
I am always like, I want to make edits like that, and I never do, but I have all the software. And all,
you have
everything,
the skills.
I have everything
you
I
literally
need.
have
I just
everything.
Have to, like, sit down and do it. So I might do that. Make some edits.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, excuse me, I burped. And it smells like pickled garlic.
No, your quest has consequences already.
What is that thing with? It's like from a video game, I think, where it's like a butterfly. It's like this action will have
consequences.
Oh no! at the beginning of this episode, Maggie, put that at the top of the garlic when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Put that at the top.
This action will have consequences.
But yes, that is your quest, y'all.
Oh my gosh.
Worth
Man,
it.
I gotta find me some. It's so good.
But yeah, so find that thing in your social media that you said you were gonna do and you never did, and do it. And then your main quest is to pretend you are Joan of Arc, lead that army, learn some sword fighting skills, do some cool lightsaber tricks, do what you gotta do.
Do what you gotta do and have fun with it. Because it's gonna be so kooky and fun. And also might be like a good exercise.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a good blend of like, I feel like including the history, the magic, the actual physical fitness. So you're having an all-encompassing like fun event going on.
I love it. That's kind of what I do when I go to the gym. Like when I'm running on the treadmill, I'll put on like a superhero playlist or something.
Yes.
Like, I have to keep running or Tony Stark's gonna die. Like I can't just work out like I'm working out because I'm working out.
Absolutely.
I have to create a little story about it.
What's it called? On Google, they have a bunch of like workout sheets that are like, Black Widow's workout. And it's a bunch of like flexible type of workouts. And there's those for every like hero or villain you can imagine.
That's amazing.
And you can like look those up and do those if y'all aren't comfortable using like a sword of some sort. You can look those up and maybe do those, like choreograph some sort of like fight sequence with them if you gotta. And for my book talk girlies, I know that, for example, from ACOTAR, Court of Thorn and Roses, for those of you who don't know, there's a character in the book that is trapped on this house on top of a mountain. And to get to the bottom of the mountain in town is 10,000 steps.
Oh, you better get on that Stairmaster.
And so, And so the challenge that book talk girlies do is they try to do the 10,000 stair challenge.
Oh, that's amazing.
In the span of a week, because she doesn't do it in one day. She does it over the course of months. But like every day, the character in the book, not every day, but most of the time, the character will come down and like try to go as far as she can, and it's like 1,000 steps or like 20 or like 2,000 steps, and it's like every time she gets farther and farther but never makes it to the bottom. And so the challenge is to get those 10,000 steps. So
that's so cool.
If you aren't comfortable doing something like sword fighting, I definitely recommend doing Maggie's workouts. Do a little choreographed superhero workouts. Do book talk 10,000 steps.
Book talk 10,000 steps.
make your ordinary like workout or play exercise something that is magical, and put yourself in that mindset.
That's awesome. What a good
sure.
quest. What a good quest.
Thanks.
Amazing.
I thought about it right before recording.
We're really good. We really planned it.
So prepared.
We're so prepared.
We're so good at this.
We're really great.
Every episode, we definitely praise ourselves, for sure.
Every time we're like, wow, we're so smart.
We are so good at this.
I love it. And that's the kind of positive reinforcement I need.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
I'm glad that we're each other's hype person.
No, we really are. We're like,
I also want to do another shout out for my uncle. I've definitely talked about him quite a few times on this podcast.
I love him.
He called me because he just caught up to the end of season 1. And he called me with, he was like, okay, so I'm catching up on the podcast. And he was like, I love you guys' energy. You guys are so funny. And he was like, I'm just thinking you need a little bit more background ambiance. And
I love it.
Giving me constructive criticism.
Yes, write that down.
He was like, I love how it feels like a real, authentic podcast. And I'm like, oh my God.
I love it. God bless you, Uncle. We love you, Uncle.
God bless you, Uncle.
You're the best. You're our number one fan. T-shirts on the way.
T-shirts on the way. He gets free merch for sure.
Free merch for life, Uncle.
Free merch for life. Certified yapper certificate over here.
Yes, here it comes.
I got it for the mail and you.
Yep. For the what and who?
Oh my gosh. Okay, that is your history for today.
Yes, it is.
And on Thursday, we'll have a brand new freaking guest for y'all. And I'm so excited for you guys to see this episode. It's a little bit different. I feel like our last 2 guests were more on the spiritual kind of road. And our next guest is going to be a bit more business savvy, if you will.
Yeah, but she's so insightful, so incredible,
So insightful,
so smart,
literally,
and ambitious. I'm so excited. For you guys
I
to
was
listen.
so inspired doing this interview. I'm really truly honored. So I'm really excited for y'all to hear the conversation that we had.
Yeah, I was kind of starstruck.
I know, right?
You're so cool.
I was like literally the whole time we were just sitting there listening to her talk. I swear.
I know. I was like, I couldn't think of.
We were just like, yes, whatever you
Everything
say.
you're saying is right.
Like, yes, I agree.
Yeah, it was so incredible.
So be sure to share your quest with us at #MyQuestingHour on all of our socials. And what are those socials, Maggie?
Well, those socials are Questing HR Podcast on everything, but Twitter, it's just Questing Hour. And we're pretty much everywhere that you look. Pinterest, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram,
Literally.
Spotify, Twitter, LinkedIn,
Tumblr,
Reddit.
Literally everywhere.
Literally everything. We're always there. And watch us on Mondays and Thursdays on Spotify and YouTube at Questing Hour Podcast.
Absolutely. And I think we might be dipping our toes into Apple Music at some point, but we got to do some research into that. So stay tuned for our YouTube watchers in case y'all are only on YouTube because we ain't got Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, whatever it is. So
we haven't done the research yet.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
But the thought is there. We got a pin in it. Don't worry.
Yeah, the pin is there. You know we love our pins.
You know we love them. We got them stacked up,
revisit.
y'all.
Yeah.
But alrighty, travelers. We will see you on Thursday.